Leave your comments on the Ask Reddit sub, and I'll read your answers on the next episode of LWIAR. What is the single worst movie you sat through hoping it would get better, but didn't? The Last Airbender, the movie. It's been 10 years and I still become enraged when I think about it. To this day, it is the only movie that I have seen in theater and left feeling utterly disappointed. My brain has done a splendid job at throwing away the actual memory of the movie. But I will never forget the heartbreak I felt when the movie ended. This was my favorite show growing up. And it should be illegal to break a kid's heart like that. I know I'm not the only one who feels this way. Most unhonorable movie I've ever seen. They thought it was a good idea to replace the Earthbender prison ship scene with Earthbenders on land surrounded by their bending element. You're expecting me. They refused to escape at any given moment to go back home. We do not talk about that. The only avatars that exist are the shows, the comics and the new Netflix remake. Too early to call yet whether that will exist or not. Who knows? If you need 7 guys doing an elaborate dance routine to shift one rock, then we may have to ignore that. 2. I saw this movie at midnight in HS. Everyone in line was dressed up in costume, including a cabbages guy. As the film started, he shouts out the catchphrase, "Yay!" Everyone laughs and it's excited about the movie starting. After the movie finished, everyone is silent. He shouts out, "What was that?" "Yes, my cabbages guy." "Well said." Damn, I wish I grew up where you did. Anyone dressing up for a movie in my town would have just got mugged. Hey, that dude is dressed up like an Avatar character. I bet he's got all the money we need for our nefarious endeavors. You're right, let's mug this fricker. Quote. More like, look at that gay butt F***, beat his butt, and they proceed to stomp cabbage guy on the ground until he stops moving and take his wallet. Firebender suddenly can't produce flames. All the names are wrong. The acting is terrible, i.e. Zuko's mouth not moving the first time he speaks. And the bending feels incredibly watered down to the point where it would be more effective just to hit people normally. Need I continue? Edit. Nobody will see this as it's been like a month. But if anyone somehow does, please know this is my most successful comment and nearly quadrupled my karma. Thank you all. Exactly. Why do you need a small gathering of earthbenders to lift one rock? And why didn't they escape sooner when they're surrounded by rocks when they are EARTHBENDERS? As I heard from an interview, this movie would have been so much better if they called him Aang. One time, it pronounced Ang, source edit. Since people have been asking, in the movie it's pronounced Ong. Not like there's an entire series this thing is based off of with actual dialogue and names being vocally said out loud and pronounced or anything like that. I think the director made the deliberate decision not to watch any of the source material. Sort of like the captain of the Titanic if he had deliberately decided to hit an iceberg. That's the sad part though. He did watch the show. He actually wanted to direct the movie after getting into the show with his daughter after she wanted to be Katara for Halloween. He watched the show, and then he made that. As of 2015 he still maintained that he remained faithful to the show and that he would hear from parents and their kids about how much they love the movie. Nauseated face. Aragon edit. Obligatory thanks for the awards. So much hate for something that doesn't exist. I applaud you that you even finished it. I gave up after Saphira's transformation. Refused to say she grew up because she did not freaking grow up. Skipped through the movie because it was a school assignment. Bullshitted the essay because I couldn't even finish it when I found out they freaking ignored half of the book. There was an AskReddit a little bit ago about a movie that was way worse than the books. Someone of course mentioned Aragon, and Christopher Paolini actually responded to it. I don't think he said anything about the movie though, just that he was glad people liked the books. I've seen Christopher Paolini reply in every thread about bad movies. Every time that a thread like this pops up, Aragon is mentioned. This? To quote Your Armor from several months ago, there is no Aragon's Last Airbender, Dragon Ball Z, Dark is Rising, Artemis Fowl movie and Ba Sing Se. Pretty sure I saw an interview with Jeremy Irons where he was asked why he did Aragon and his reply was something along the lines of, I just bought a castle. So you have any idea how expensive they are? If I'm mistaken don't tell me cause I love the idea. Reminds me of Michael Caine's response about Jaws 4. I have not seen it, but by all accounts it is horrible. I have seen the house it paid for, and it is magnificent, or something close to that. Damn it. I was a little kid and all excited to see the movie since I absolutely love the books. That movie was arguably the greatest cinematic disappointment of my childhood. Edit 1. Whoa. My first comment that blew up. And thanks for the award. Edit 2. No. I have not seen Avatar: The Last Airbender. $100 million budget and they couldn't afford a pair of latex elf ears. Funny story. While my dad and I were at the movie, my mom was watching TV and an interview with the author came on. The interviewer asked Christopher if he liked the movie and my mom said he just got silent, and at that moment she knew I wasn't having a good time. I went to a book signing he did after Inheritance came out. There was a bit of a Q&A, and someone asked about the movie. He just said, "What movie?" Okay, this is going to sound extremely bizarre, but I actually saw the movie before I read the books. And I really enjoyed it. Then I read the books and realized how bad it was in comparison. That's exactly what happened to me. Watched the movie, liked it for what it was, and then I read the books. Holy crap. That's what a lot of people say. Anyone who read the books beforehand hated the movie. Yet people who went in blind thought it was pretty okay. Basically, it was a generically okay fantasy movie, but not the story of Eragon. Fantastic Four 2015. That movie is a dumpster fire of epic proportions, but I wanted to see what they did with Doom, so I stayed till the end. But they fricked him up too. Edit 2 instead of I struggled to finish that movie. Previous Fantastic Fours were better. Sad face. The first two were bad in a fun way. 2015 was just kinda depressing. Yeah, they were at least kind of competent. Artemis Fowl. What an absolute clusterfuck that movie was. Disney just skullfricked the source material to death and then set fire on the body. Disney has a bad habit of taking material with excellent potential and completely butchering it. I have only seen the trailer and dear God. Artemis surfing and showing emotions. He's like BBC Sherlock Holmes crossed with a vampire. Also, is it true that half the LEP, including Julius Root, is female in the movie? From the casting call for Artemis, seeking the lead role of Artemis, must be 5 feet 3 inches or below, any ethnicity but must have or can do Irish accent. At first glance Artemis could be mistaken for a rather ordinary child with little athletic ability. But his eyes reveal a flickering of intelligence. Inquisitive and possessing both academic and emotional intelligence. He is highly perceptive and good at reading people. Most importantly, Artemis is warm-hearted and has a great sense of humor. He has fun in whatever situation he is in and loves life. So basically they read the book and decided to do the precise opposite. Glad I didn't finish it then. I watched about 20 minutes and was so confused. So Artemis doesn't kidnap Holly. His mom's already dead. He didn't discover the fairies on his own. Why call it Artemis Fowl then? Oof. Really? Expected a dumpster fire. So stayed away. Loved the books as a kid, but crap dude. That's almost Eragon or Attilae levels of disrespect towards the source material. Also Holly, who is meant to be the first female officer and that be a huge character arc. Nah, already a female senior officer. I haven't watched Artemis Fowl, but I have enjoyed watching YouTube reviewers losing their crap talking about Artemis Fowl. It's absolute garbage. Husband was watching it. I sat with him for 10 minutes then considered asking him to move out. My husband and I have bad movie nights where we purposely watch bad movies, have some drinks, and make fun of it. One Friday I said I wasn't in the mood for a bad movie. And he recommends Artemis Fowl because he heard people love the books. I'm still a little mad at him for that. The Artemis Fowl butchering is sufficient reason to bring back corporal punishment. Nothing major, but a pinky or two. I once mixed up corporal and capital punishment in my high school psychology class. I couldn't apologize enough when I realized I had been talking in support of killing kids. And not just spanking. I guarantee you that your teacher was secretly thinking, frick yes. Y'all ever seen Slenderman? Absolute shit show. As soon as the credits were rolling in the theater, a guy in the back yelled, well, that was crap. I agree. There's nothing interesting in that movie. You should rather go watch Marble Hornets on YouTube if you are interested in good Slenderman content. Marble Hornets was terrifying, until episode like 185 or something, when it was 3 months between releases and I couldn't keep track of what the hell was going on. There is a video with the whole series. It's around 8 hours long if you want to watch the whole thing easier. Mean Girls 2. Thought it was going to be like the first one, ended up with a Walmart version. There's a Mean Girls 2. Unfortunately. Allegiant. Nothing actually happens in the film. I could have watched paint dry for 2 hours and it would have been a more productive use of my time than watching that film. Super disappointing, especially since the first 2 films were fairly decent. They actually didn't finish the series because the rating for it was so bad. There was talks of doing it as a TV miniseries, one do believe. But that was kicked to the curb as well. Edit. Wow guys. Thanks. My most upvoted comment was about a great book series made into crappy movies. Didn't Shailene Woodley say if it went to cable she was out? I thought that was what put a bullet in it. Took the family to see it because the kids read the books. You're right, it was just plain bad. To be fair, the books fell off a cliff as well. The first one was a passably decent teen dystopia tale, but the second was confused in what it wanted to be, and it just kept getting more and more muddled and weird as the pages turned. Transformers: The Last Night. For a movie that's called Transformers, they sure do put a huge emphasis on everything except them. Optimus is in the movie for like 8 minutes, and it's painfully long. I almost walked out watching this movie. I was on a plane. I'm still confused as to why in the first movie you see the Autobots arrive on Earth and have a frozen Megatron who got stuck for, what, a couple hundred years. Then in the last movie we're told to forget that because Transformers have been around since dinosaurs, or at the very least 1,000 years. These films don't even make sense among themselves. The conspiracy history pile-up was always one of the dumbest or goofiest bits of those films to me. Okay, there's an ancient cube and Megatron came presumably looking for it and got uncovered in there. Late 1800s, oh, but there's also a sun-eating machine under the pyramids, implying a history of at least 4,500 years. Also, a Cybertronian escape ship just happened to crash on the moon in the 60s after drifting aimlessly. Oh, and also Dinobots, implying that Transformers visited Earth and observed wildlife over 66 million years ago. And by the way, Earth is greater than Unicron, less than if there was ever a constant between the films. It was that the conspiracy would go deeper and it always revolved around Earth, despite having nothing connecting the points. The live-action TF movies have this problem. IDK when writers will figure out people only care about the robots and not their annoying little human dramas, but I hope it's soon. Edit. Wow, you all really are missing the point of this comment. What I mean by focus on the robots, I don't mean I want to see robots fighting 100% of the time. I mean, I want to see the robots as actual characters and not just a high-budget accessory. With Bumblebee, which is actually pretty good, they're rebooting the live-action movie's story with a new director and, it appears, a greater emphasis on quality and, believe it or not, Transformers. Just watched Bumblebee this past weekend. Pretty good overall. Whoever was in charge of Bee's facial expressions was on top of their game. His eyes conveyed so much emotion. Downsizing movie for me was a huge disappointment, though the idea of the movie was nice and new. It turned to be very slow and boring. The downsizing aspect wasn't really necessary. It could have just been Matt Damon moving to another country. Was it just me, or did that movie feel like 2 totally separate movies in one? And they have no connection between them. You try to follow the plot, then forget that they are downsized until they walk by a giant water bottle or something. Yes, the first half was so exciting. The second half was such a dumpster fire. There's so many movies on this list where I'm thinking, how did you not know that was going to be awful? As a former Blockbuster employee, you have no idea how bad the average person's crappy movie radar is. I know people who automatically gravitate toward the shittiest movie in the theaters. I don't know how they do it. Thanks for watching LWIAR, the best of recent r/AskReddit submissions and comments. If you like this video, check out LWIAR too, and don't forget to like and subscribe.